Now she's in a background, remember that. If we go back into effects, we have filters, and we played around with those. Styles is the next one up here for our discussion. Now, styles are fundamentally different than the effects, and probably why they're separated, filters, styles, effects. Each one has their own little thing. These are very aggressive. For example, if I do dry mud, the first thing it's going to tell me is I can't because it's on a background and it must be a layer. So you could cancel out, go back, change it yourself, but you might as well do it here. We'll leave layer 0 as a name, that's fine. That's pretty aggressive if you ask me. And if we come into layers, you can see it's actually changing it. It's actually changing that layer. So let me press undo. I have a different way of using most of these. Okay, most of them. Now that's not a background anymore. I left that alone. If we come back in, you do have things like blue tone. I mean, you might want to do something like that, I suppose. But I'm going to undo that. I have a different take on how you can apply styles, I think, in a more creative way. And that is, let me show you this. Let's come back out to layers. Let's create a new layer. Now fill that layer with anything. So I will use the shortcut, and that's Option Delete on a Mac, Alt Backspace in Windows to fill it with the current foreground color. Doesn't matter. It could be blue, purple, whatever. Now make sure it's selected, and then we come back into effects, and I think you know what's going to happen. It will apply it just to that layer. Come in here and do angled strokes, whatever. That's kind of psychedelic. Come back out to layers, and we did this in the previous lesson. You can now begin playing and manipulating. One difference though, this is an effects layer, so blending modes don't actually work here. But there's a way to get around that too, is that you put it underneath and then work the blending modes on the original image, assuming you would even want to do this. That is kind of interesting. It does look like a 60s poster, doesn't it? Let's do this. I'm going to undo, 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 undo until we get back to a blank. Now, if I come back in here and do an effect, again, we can do the same one. You say, well, where is it? Well, understand we have a layer with nothing in it. Now, here's the kind of interesting thing. Let's go back to layers, and it is an FX layer. So if I come over here and pick up my paintbrush tool and just begin painting again in any color, it's almost like it's a mask. And the areas that I paint will get the effect. So to me, using styles might give you better results if you're working with layers that have something in it. And don't forget, you can even do all kinds of crazy shapes. Hearts, cherries, whatever you want to do. Let me go ahead and collapse that back down again. Let's go ahead and delete this layer, just like that. Pick up your type tool. Let's come over here and type a rainy day in Holland Park. Now, I can, because I do have, don't forget, these options down here selected on my Move tool. I can go to corner, make it bigger if I want to. Just like that. And let's go ahead and commit. Now select that text layer. It can be anything you want it to be. Go into effects and have some fun. Try different things. Now, the other cool thing here, let's go back to layers. This is an FX layer. Double-click the FX right here, and it gives you the options that are being used on it. Everything from glows to bevels. In other words, you can change it, you can modify it, you can do anything that you want to it. You're in control. You like what you see? Click OK. You've modified the effect created from the effects here. So control to me is the important thing. Styles are very aggressive. They take over everything. So to me, it makes more logical sense to use pieces of something like text or some particular type of image that you draw. As a matter of fact, let's do this. If we come over here and select this button, let's open this up, and I'll just use this one. It's called cherries, and draw cherries, just like that. You will notice over here are the styles that we just work with. And you can change it to anything you want. Total control over what we're doing. Styles need their own layer. Let's go ahead and close out. And we don't have to save this, obviously. Okay, back into the organizer.